Hello everyone, and welcome back to Fan Mail, where I answer questions and display submissions from you, the community. First things first, you might have noticed we're in a different location for today's episode. You see, after my little breakdown at the end of last episode, the regular set became, compromised. It's being restored to operational status as we speak, but I needed a different set for now. More on this place in a minute. First, I want to mention something I think you'll find interesting. On my Discord server, I've established a new channel where anyone can see the status of my current project. This channel is updated when I complete a production milestone, and a ping is sent out to the whole server when I update it. I figured this will allow for fans to better keep track of where I'm at with big projects like Hyborian that take a lot of time. I hope you find it useful. Also, the usual disclaimers. Not all submitted questions may be answered due to episode time requirements, and this episode contains spoilers for Spartan's Omega Halo. So, a little bit about today's location. This is the Black Forest Correctional Facility. Black Forest is where I send villainous characters after they die, and give them an opportunity to work to redeem themselves. It's the current residence of today's guest. Please welcome Shipmaster Kodomee to the floor.
Yes. Jeer at me as you will. I deserve it.
Don't be so hard on yourself, Shipmaster. You only attempted genocide.
You jest, but I committed unspeakable atrocities. The fact that I was blinded by the lies of the Covenant is no excuse for my regrettable actions.
The fact that you're self-aware enough to acknowledge that means good things, Shipmaster. Well, let's start the fan mail strong with a bunch of questions from Simon.
Dear Shipmaster Kodamy, did you serve during the First Human Covenant War? Do you resent the Prophets for how they exploited your people? What circumstances drove you to go rogue against Sanghelios by leading an attack towards humanity? How does it feel knowing it was your arrogance and sense of theatrics that led to your downfall? Dear Chronicler 177, are there any fight scenes from the Spartan Legacy you enjoy viewing most?
Well, that certainly was a barrage of questions. I did serve in the Human Covenant War. I was born prior to its inception, but even then, I was already a warrior. Initially, I was a low-ranking officer in the Fleet of Particular Justice, stationed aboard the carrier Righteous Conviction. As the war drew on, I fed the false drivel the prophets used to control us, and I was filled with religious zeal and hatred for the heretics. Many of my crewmates, including Thalashi, shared this experience, but I was the most zealous of them all. We were young then, foolish, and easily manipulated. My superiors noted this, and I was given several opportunities to command ships in the battle against the human fleet, all of which I won. By the time the Fleet of Particular Justice obliterated the world of Reach, I had long since ascended to Shipmaster of the Righteous Conviction, with Thalashi as my right hand. I considered myself unprivileged to not be a part of the detachment that chased the Pillar of Autumn to Halo. Later I realized that order to stay behind saved my ship and my life. I was nevertheless enthralled with the idea of searching out the remaining sacred rings. However, my duty bound me to the Covenant for the time being. But then came the confusing news. The disgraced former leader of my fleet, working with the humans, the prophets betraying my race and trading us in for the Jelahane, the great journey, all a lie? It could not be. In my righteous fervor, I deluded myself into believing that the prophets and my kin had abandoned the great journey, rather than indulge the seemingly unthinkable truth that everything that I had fought for was based on falsehoods. I preached to my fellows that the journey was left in our hands, and that it was us, faithful few, who would see it to completion. And so, I gathered those who would follow and left the Covenant behind. For 4 years, I searched for a way to complete our mission, all the while rallying like-minded Sangheli to my side. None of us recognized the Arbiter's authority. We thought ourselves above the rest and pitied them, for they would be left behind when we ascended. I myself passed even the greatest limits of zealotry, becoming obsessed with achieving ascension at any cost, something that would cost my comrades dearly. Eventually, I pieced together the location of a map that would lead us to the Sacred Ring, and it was on Earth. All too eager to return to slaughtering humanity, we attacked
Go on.
Damn the prophets for filling my head with lies, and damn myself for adhering to them. I was so confident, so sure of my beliefs. How could I be wrong? Only in the very last moment of my life did I realize. Far too late. Many of my brothers trusted me to lead them into godhood. All I did was lead them to their graves, and that is not even counting the blood of thousands of humans, all on my hands. So many lives spent in a needless war based on a fallacious creed. You ask me how I feel, Simon? How can I possibly describe to you the weight of the guilt upon my shoulders? It crushes me, pulls me down, deluges my mind. I walk the halls of this facility, wondering how I could possibly atone for my mistakes, and I can find no solace, no peace. The knowledge that I cannot take back my actions haunts my each waking moment and drives me every day closer to madness.
Okay, Drama Queen. Hi, Simon. I really enjoy watching the Flood holdout sequence in Omega Halo. I consider that bit to be one of the rare times in my productions where scripting, body acting, voice acting, camera work, music selection, and editing came together almost perfectly. The scene starts out making you think the survivors may have a chance, but then the Flood start pushing in, taking ground, and the humans lose ground, and in the end, only 3 make it out, and even then, just by the skin of their teeth. It's tense and exciting, and I'm really proud of it. River has sent a submission. Hey, me and my friends are planning on making a machinima in Halo 5, and we were wondering, where do we start? I don't know how to capture footage and voice recordings. I don't have all the fancy stuff like a good computer, but I do have an Xbox. Do you think you can help us out and get us on the right tracks? We just need tips. Thanks, River. Hello, River. To start, you're going to need to shell out some cash for equipment. In order to capture Xbox footage, you'll need a capture card. I personally use the Elgato HD. It wasn't cheap, but it's never let me down and its quality is excellent. For voice recordings, your voice actors will need recording mics, and I'm not talking cheapo gaming headsets, I mean real microphones like the Blue Yeti, which is what I use. Again, not cheap. Luckily, there's excellent free recording software to be had in the program Audacity. I've been using that since almost the start of my career. Hope this helps, and good luck. Our next question is from Robbie Martin.
Hiya, buddy. Been a fan of yours for quite a bit. If you need someone for a role in any of your machinimas, let me know as I'd be happy to help.
I'm always looking for more body actors. All you need to do is have Halo 5 and be in my Discord, keeping an eye out for acting announcements. If you want to take a crack at being a voice actor, you can email me a demo reel. Just make sure it's a good sample of what you can do. The following questions are from Showery Dragoon. Hi, Chronicler. Hope you're having a good day. Wanted to ask you and the Shipmaster a couple of questions. For you, Chronicler, have you ever heard about Neon Genesis Evangelion? What EVA unit would be your favorite to pilot in? And what are your pros and cons on politics in general? And questions for the Shipmaster. Before the Human and Covenant War, were there any economic and or political ideologies in the Sangheili society? How would you feel if you were chosen to be part of the High Council? How was life when you were young? That's pretty much all I have to ask. Hope you have a great day. I don't really know what Neon Genesis Evangelion is. I ain't no weeb.
I ain't no weeb, says the man who hosted a Pokemon tournament.
Pokemon doesn't count.
Pokemon has an anime. It counts. You're a weeb.
You want to go back to the hole? I'll put you back in the hole. Anyway, Dragoon, I don't like politics much. The cons are that they split up families and divide nations and are almost always driven behind the scenes by money. There are no pros.
Like all of my brethren, I was raised as a warrior from a young age. The identity of my father was kept concealed from me, as is tradition. My childhood was filled with training and scholarship. I would not belong on the High Council. I paid little mind to politics. My destiny was to be a leader on the battlefield, not from a council chamber. However, you may find it interesting to know that Sangheili society is largely meritocratic, and remained that way through the Great War. Our leaders are not chosen in popularity contests. They must prove themselves capable before being allowed to lead.
Dragoon has a fan art submission too.
Is that? Yes, that's me. Why am I being held by a giant robot thing?
'Cause it's funny. This next question comes from Sodi.
Why did you choose Halo 5 to make Brotherhood War? Why not Halo Reach? And how long did it take you to get all the armor sets and all the characters made and ready?
I picked Halo 5 for Brotherhood War largely because of its forging possibilities and expanded sandbox. Halo Reach is great and all, but I would have been really restrained set-wise. Also, Halo 5's visual style follows and expands on Halo 4's, and I think it really fits the post-The Last War style of the Spartan Legacy, showing how the Legacy has entered a new age. As for the armor sets, I actually still don't have all of them, even after spending 300 buckaroos on rec packs. I only have up to Rare maxed out. Still, that was enough to help me design the characters for Brotherhood War, which didn't take long once I settled on the individual armor sets, a lot of which were evolved from the ones I used in Lifebringer. Ebonblade has some questions. So, Shipmaster, got some questions for you. 1. How does it feel to be beaten by the UNSC just like the Covenant was before you? 2. Do you know anything of a group called the Banished? If so, what are your thoughts of them? 3. Depending on if you were informed of events that happened after your death, what is the reaction to the Lifebringer's plans, and how they came to fruition?
I should have seen my defeat coming from far away. It was but an echo of the massive loss the Covenant suffered at the hands of humanity. But I learned nothing from their failure, and charged headlong to my end. It is both humbling and embarrassing. I have heard tales of the Banished, yet never faced them in battle. Their ability to maintain strength and loyalty without resorting to fanaticism of the Covenant is admirable. From my residence here at the Black Forest, I am not apprised of the events in the living world, and yet tales of the Lifebringer's success at Earth have tricked through even these confining walls. She has progressed further than I, but I would offer her words of warning. Humanity is a terrifying force. The harder they are pushed, the harder they shall push back.
Guardian Bravo asks,
So, Shipmaster, if given a second chance at life, what would you have done differently?
I would have listened. I had ample opportunities to cast aside my foolish crusade and yet spurned each and every one. Instead of proceeding down that imprudent path, I would have left behind my religious zeal and opted for peace with you humans. Let the flames of hatred die out. Perhaps if I had, I would still be alive. So might innumerable others. At the very least, we would have been on the right side of history. Alas, that is not the route I chose.
Range Dust wants to know,
Dear Chronicler 177, what was your favorite and least favorite part of high school? Shipmaster Kodomee, what is your family like? Is your family a honorable one?
My favorite part of high school was pretending I was taking notes in class when actually I was working on scripts for the Reach trilogy and Bikeron. My least favorite part was having to actually be there.
The House of Kodo is as noble as any other house of Sanghelios. It values honor highly and has produced many valiant warriors in its time. However, I fear I have disgraced its name with my irresponsibilities. Yet another transgression I must expiate.
Game Night asks,
Dear Chronicler 177, have you ever thought about streaming? To the Shipmaster, have you heard the legend of the Master Chief from your people?
Streaming is such a big part of social media today that the market is hugely oversaturated. I wouldn't be adding anything noteworthy to it. If I do stream anything, it'll be stuff like the creators' live streams we did for Omega Halo and Brotherhood War, but mostly I'll stick to traditional machinima content.
The legend of the demon is known to all who serve the Covenant. If he had survived the Great War, perhaps my attack on planet Earth may never have come to pass.
Tag Force sent in a few questions for us. Hey, Chronicler! Sightseeing, were ya? I have a few questions. Shipmaster, 1. How does it feel that your people are led by a Arbiter once again? 2. Do your people still respect the Arbiters, not the recent on, of the past? Kron, 1. If you had the power to include any Halo character from the original time to your series, who would you add and why? 2. How would you rate the story of each Halo game from 5 being best to 1 being the worst? Thanks for answering my questions. Hope you both have a nice day.
Until the defeat of the Covenant, the name of the Arbiter was synonymous humiliation. Thelvadam redeemed the title, but in life I continued to see him as little more than a rogue and a fool. Now, I understand he was the leader my people needed. Vadam has done great things for St. Helios. Perhaps we treated the previous arbiters too harshly.
I wouldn't really want to add official canon characters to my timeline. I prefer to keep myself free from getting tied down by established characters. Although if I was forced to, it would obviously be Chip's Dubbo. Duh.
Nice.
And rating the Halo game stories, I can't really rate them 1 to 5 because I really do like them all except 5, which I detest. So really there's just 2 rankings. Worst, Halo 5. Best, all the other ones. Here's a question from Clumsy.
Yo, Shipmaster, how's it feel knowing your god is actually a human male in his 20s making films with video games?
Humbling. Meeting the Chronicler and having my creation explained to me was ultimately what broke my belief in the Great Journey. It is still difficult to cope with, knowing that I spent my life revering all-powerful, transcendental gods, when in reality, I was made by...
Hi there.
that.
Shadow Wolf has a few questions for us.
Hey, Chronicler, I have a question for you and the Shipmaster. First question for Kodamy. What did you do before the war? Were you always in the military, or did you do something else? Second question for Kron. Quick, the Covenant are invading! Assemble a badass team to help defend Earth! What characters from all your machinimas would you pick to help you defend Earth? What roles would they play as? You can choose anyone. Once again, thank you for all your hard work, and I hope you have an awesome day.
I was part of the Covenant military for almost my entire life, as most Sangheli males were in those days.
I can pick any characters for my machinimas? Okay, I'll stick Phoenix Team, the Spartan 4s, and Fireteam Corsair together and throw them at the Covenant. Problem solved.
That seems like the easy way out.
Is it easy or is it efficient?
Easy. It's easy.
Well, since you like doing things the hard way, here's a bunch of questions from Renval specifically for you.
Wonderful.
Questions for the Shipmaster. 1. When and how did you meet Thalassy? 2. Were you aware of the Great Schism, and if so, where did you stand? 3. How does it feel to have come as, if not closer to victory than the prophets themselves, with fewer men and resources?
I first met Thalassy aboard the Righteous Conviction. He was my closest ally throughout the Great War and beyond. I was told of the schism when it happened, and as I said before, I chose to see it as a madness spreading like a virus through the Covenant. I was on neither side, only my own. We abandoned the prophets and kept their religion. As I inserted the activation index into the Halo's control console, I felt a swelling of pride at accomplishing what they could not. Some residual traces of the pride remains, although we were fighting for a lie. We put all we had into that fight. Strip aside the genocidal tirade, and we would possess honor worthy of legends.
And our last questions today come from Major Winners.
Hey there, hi there, ho there, bud. I got a couple 2-3 questions there for you. For Shipmaster Kodomee, why did you think fighting humanity would work? You already got your ass kicked before, and you thought you could come back and walk over us, eh? Give your balls a tug, you squid. For Kron, what armor set do you want to see in Infinite? Not the coatings, I mean the actual armor pieces. Thanks for answering my questions, and Africa sends us regards, Shipmaster, you fuck-knuckle.
Really, I just want to see the Mark V helmet come back. I'm not the same without my face.
You taunt me from the safety of your false name, Winters. A cowardly tactic. What kind of major are you, anyway? Can you not see I mean to repent? Is my punishment of suffering not enough to please you? Ah, but you are foolish. I should thank you. For the first time since my arrival in this place, I shall have the last laugh. You tell me to tug on my balls? Idiot! Look! Look! I am Sangheli. I have no balls. Ha 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 ha!
All right then, that's all we have for today. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys next time. Keep an eye on the Discord for updates on Hyborian. A link to join is in the description. I'll see you around.